Hey there and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. Come along with our triumvirate of terror as we descend into darkness, hurtle into horror, and plunge into peril. If you've ever wondered if Mrs. Claus was a baddie, well, you're in the right place. I'm Justin, and if I was in this movie, I would just play some power and everyone would get okay.
I'm Nico, and Justin's gonna do this entire review in a Santa Claus voice, or else we're not gonna continue on with this recording.
Yep.
I swear to God.
He did promise. And I'm Dan, but I'm not very dangerous.
And we're here today to review A Christmas Horror Story.
No. Run that back.
Ho. So, this is a Christmas anthology with about 4 stories, depending on how you look at it. And we're, for purposes of being concise, gonna go ahead and tell the stories one at a time. We open with DJ Dangerous Dan on the ones and twos. He pours out a drink, and we begin our tales. Our first story revolves around 3 high school students who break into the basement of their school to do a report on the kids who died there the previous year. Oh no. What starts out as innocent fun turns deadly as the 3 students learn about the school's sinister past as a convent that was used as a place to keep unwed mothers that were pregnant. Yes. It also turns out that the ghost of one of those mothers-to-be basically wants someone to have her kid that she never got the chance to have due to some stuff the nuns did that we won't discuss here. She possesses one of the students and tries to get another one of the students who came with that student to sleep with her, getting her pregnant so that she can then have her kid. It makes sense. One of the guys refuses and she kills him. The other complies, but the ghost kills him anyways. The ghost then lets the now pregnant girl, student, just lets her leave. What a story. I hope Tale 2 is better, Dan. Ho, ho, ho.
Well, Tale 2 revolves around a family consisting of a mother, father, and young son who cross into some forbidden territory to get the elusive perfect Christmas tree. The son goes missing, but his parents soon find him, or so they think. That night, the son begins to exhibit strange behavior, eating massive amounts of spaghetti, and even stabs.
I don't know why that got me, but it did.
And he even stabs his father with a fork. The mother gets a call from a strange man who claims that the couple didn't bring back their son, they actually brought back a changeling. Well, at first the mother doesn't really believe him, but then the son, just fucking murks his father, and so she realizes that, yeah, she should probably take the changeling back to the forest. So she does, but she gets into disagreement with the mysterious man, who is being pretty abusive to the changelings, and shoots him. Well, the changelings were pretty happy with that, apparently, and they return the woman's son.
Ho, ho. I'll tell you what, that changeling would have been on my naughty list for sure.
Yep.
Well, speaking of the naughty list, Nico, why don't you tell us a tale about a fucked up family?
Sure will, bud. Sure will, Mr. Trini Claus. Tale 3 revolves around a family, a mother, father, son, and daughter, on their way to visit an elderly relative. While at said relative's house, the son breaks a figurine of Krampus,
Fuck
the
that guy.
infamous Punisher of the Wicked, exclusively during Christmas time. The relative then sends the family away with a quickness. And on the way back home, the vehicle that they're driving gets rendered inoperable after a little crash in the snowdrifts. And then Krampus starts murking them all. Justin wrote that one in caps, so I had to affect the voice, you understand. Also, it turns out the family kind of shitty. Actually, more than kind of shitty, they just really kind of suck. In general. The daughter makes it back to the relative's house, though, and she even kills the Krampus, who turns out to be a guy who was just staying with the relative. I think it was like a butler or something. He's just a dude. Anyway, the relative they were going to see, their aunt, I think it was Etta or something. I don't remember. Not important. That relative explains that the Christmas spirit can fill anyone, and it can turn evil people into Krampus. It's not just like there's just one motherfucker out here who's Krampus, and when you get rid of him, he's done. Not quite like that. So the daughter realizes that the relative kicked them out so that Krampus would go after them and not her, which causes her to allow the evil Christmas spirit into her turning her into Krampus, and she just murks the shit out of her auntie.
Ho ho! That's another one for the naughty list. Kind of convoluted too, but ho ho ho! Dan, you're a good storyteller, Dan. Why don't you tell us the last story?
Well, our last story revolves around the big man himself, Santa Claus.
Ho, ho,
Not
ho,
Justin,
ho.
though. One day, Santa is chilling in the North Pole when his elves start turning into some foul-mouthed zombies. They call him all sorts of really bad names. Santa fights all of the elves off in a bloody spectacle, but then Krampus shows up, and the pair engage in Yuletide combat.
Yeah, brother!
Until Krampus starts begging Santa, not Justin, not to kill him. We then see that this really isn't Santa, also not really Justin, but he's Stormin' Norman, who's the weatherman from DJ Dangerous Dan's radio show, who is playing the part of Mall Santa, not Mall Justin. He's had a break.
Can you imagine?
He-
Just go to Potomac Bills and there's a local Justin there.
oh no.
What would such a person do, Nico?
Come, you want to go sit on the mall Justin's lap? No, he's just going to give me sugar cane.
Free water and doubles.
Hey,
Say, big up yourself. Ho, ho, ho.
that's the Christmas message. You were real ho for that one.
So anyways, Santa is actually Stormin' Norman, the weatherman from DJ Dangerous Dan's radio show, who is playing the part of Mall Santa. He has had a break from reality and has basically just killed a bunch of people in the mall with an axe. He thought they were evil elves. They're actually normal people. He keeps trying to kill Krampus, who basically is just a manager at the mall, and the cops show up and shoot him. The end.
Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho. What an ending to the Christmas. But we've got a lot to go through here, so let's stuff our stockings and get into how this movie sounds. Nico, ho ho ho, you bitch ass. Speaking of sounds, the reason why I'm talking like this, an errant promise that I made many moons ago has come back to haunt me, much
Sure
like
fucking
Krampus.
has. Yep. It sounds good. I mean, there's not too much to write home about. The dialogue is delivered well. There's some Christmassy jingles that come and go throughout the duration of the movie. Nothing that you're going to leave here thinking, oh, wow, I really just... The thing that stuck with me was the sound. No, it's like it's a goofy Christmas movie. That's what's going to stick with you. But the sounds all are well orchestrated. I didn't have any issues with the mix. I can't remember any obvious like hellacious ADR, although I'm sure there was some in there. But yeah, really, I don't got a lot to say.
Oh, I agree. I think that pretty much the movie sounded pretty good. The thing I especially liked was the sound of sleigh bells. But now, Darren, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you. I don't think I really have much to add there.
Well, all right then, wise ass. Why don't you tell me how the movie looked?
Well, fuck you, Santa Justin. I think the movie looked pretty good. My favorite part of the visuals was the whole like Santa fucking everybody up.
Yeah.
It's super like saturated and super stylized, super like cinematic looking, I guess, if you will, which I think adds and helps accentuate the sort of goofiness of a lot of that, just Santa running around like slicing up elves. There's a lot of decapitation. He literally
A fucking lot.
cuts an elf's head off, picks up its head, and smashes another elf's head in with that head. I was like,
You ever
God
hit a
damn,
motherfucker
Santa."
with another motherfucker?
Yeah. But I thought it was cool. We see a lot of heads getting chopped off, chopped open as well. I thought Krampus looked pretty good too.
Which Krampus do you think looked better, this one or Krampus?
I think this.
They're both like mad different, but like which one did you prefer?
I think maybe this one.
Okay.
I've got a point of contention.
Oh no.
Oh yeah?
Why is Santa always portrayed as fat, but this Krampus was jacked as shit?
Hey man, you don't gotta be skinny to be strong, and Santa showed that. Strongman competitions, you know this better than anyone. I'm saying.
I mean, true, but Krampus was mad aesthetic. I'm just gonna put that one out there.
I mean, he was. He got that fucking vicious V, the fucking 12-pack, the horns and everything.
He looked like he was about to come out of one of those Norwegian death metal bands that
Yeah.
sacrifices goats on stage. I could see them doing some shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly, I thought the visuals were pretty good. A lot of decapitation for Santa's part. If anything, I will say this. I wasn't the biggest fan of how they chose to go about in I believe, the Changeling story. I wanted to see a little more of the Changelings, perhaps. But that's going to be something on my Christmas wish list. Nico, how do you think the movie looked?
I think it looked good. I want to echo what Dan said about the saturation aspect of it. There are a lot of really intense colors, particularly during the more violent scenes, which is nice. I mean, it's not anything that is a dull watch by any means, and it is an interesting sort of palette swap between each of the stories so that it doesn't ever get kind of stale. I mean, again, not terribly too much to write home about, other than the fact that, yeah, Krampus is just fucking diesel.
Quick pause.
Yep. I just realized that too.
What did we forget?
So, this movie was directed by Grant Harvey, Stephen Hoban, and Brett Sullivan, starring William Shatner as DJ Dangerous Dan, George
Don't
Buzza
put this back in order. Leave it right
as
fucking here.
Santa/Norman, Rob Archer as the extremely jacked Krampus, Zoe de Grandmaison as Molly, and Alex Ozerov as Ben.
Well, one thing that audiences probably picked up from our list of actors in the movie, I mean, you got William Shatner in this shit. How'd you think he did personally?
I feel like this was just something that one day his agent called him up and he was like, hey, Will, you got a minute? Yeah, sure, boss. What's up? So there's this holiday season coming around. You've heard of it, right? Yeah, Christmas. What about it? So there's this movie coming out. Oh, okay. You want me to be Santa? Nah. Oh, okay. You want me to be like this old weird demon? Nah. You're going to be a radio host. What? I'm in.
I feel like his agent was just like, just sit there, drink eggnog, and be a radio host. And he was like, all right,
Literally don't even act.
yeah, he was just being himself, drinking eggnog, and I enjoyed it personally.
Yeah.
I'd have to say, I agree. His acting was what I expected it to be. Ho, ho, ho. Now, one thing that I didn't expect was a good plot. And I was right. The plot of this movie is kind of weak.
Yeah.
Curious to know, there are similarities to this and a much better movie where Nico sounded like a vampire in Trick or Treat. So let me ask you, boys and girls, do you think this plot was weak, strong? And how'd you feel about its intertwining plot similar to Trick or Treat?
I mean, I don't know that I can say the plot because I don't think there is a plot. There's several plots. But I thought individually they had a variety. I thought the kind of twist with William Shatner's like radio host thing and with Storm and Norman being Santa, personally, I kind of like that. I thought it was a cool little twist near the end. Some of the plots, like the family with Krampus getting killed by Krampus and attack, I didn't really like that plot so much. I thought that one was a little weaker. The other two I thought were like fine. Nothing to write home about, but I thought they were like fine. So I'd say varying degrees of strength.
I definitely want to echo that, but I will say in particular the Changeling plot had a little bit of an issue with pacing, particularly with the just dangerousness of it. There's a better word than that. How dangerous the kid was and how much damage he was able to wreak in such a short time. Like, there is a point where it's the scene where he goes and stabs his dad in the hand with a fork, and then dad goes away. Dad comes back into the kitchen. He pours himself some whiskey and is like, hey, son, I'm sorry. This isn't me, and things are getting real hard. And then, like, 2 minutes later, in real time, dude is like, I don't know if he's decapitated or something, but like, he's got all kinds of mad lacerations and his hands cut off, and just like, there was no noise going on when this was happening. It's just like a clean cut. He's here, and now he's in the corner, all fucked up. What? Okay, sure.
Very true.
I would definitely say I had some problems with that. But I will say, did you notice that every story had a character from another story in it?
I actually didn't.
No.
Because if you
No,
look at it,
Krampus,
I'm
of
going to
course.
go ahead and refer back to the story here. So, the first one with the kids in the school, they are given the keys to get into the school by the girl from the family in Tale 2.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
you're
didn't
right.
catch that. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then also in Tale 3, he's the cop that saw the murders from the previous year in
Oh.
Tale 2.
Right.
And then, as we all know, the Santa Claus was, as we said, Stormy Norman from the start of the movie. So, well, there's also a pretty big thing going on here that we have to discuss.
What's that?
So in the Changeling story, the mother kills the guy who was basically keeping the Changelings in line.
Mm-hmm.
So now those Changelings are free to go out. Do what
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
gotta
and they
do.
just give the kid
I think
back.
that's why they
Like,
gave.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think they did because they're like, thank you for killing this guy who keeps track of us. And so now we can do whatever we want. Thanks. Here.
Sorry
I
about
think that
killing your
was what
husband,
that
but
was.
here's your kid.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
Consolation kid.
I asked this. Oh, well, not me. I'm Trini Claus. But Justin asked this for the Pilgrim movie. How do you think this stands as a horror movie outside of the Christmas element?
See, this is the part where I will admit that I enjoyed this movie. I don't think it's very cohesive as a complete product in the same way that I know you were comparing it to Pilgrim, but like Trick or Treat was such a well put together film altogether. This feels more like a combination of three separate stories instead of an intertwining narrative, and because of that, there are horror elements in each, of course, but it it sort of like comes off a little bit less. I don't know. I'm not doing this justice. Dan, what do you think?
No, I think I'd kind of agree with what you were saying and trying to say, but I also think like the story of the kids who go down to the basement of
School. Yeah.
the school and that whole story,
That was weird.
that had almost nothing to do with Christmas.
Literally
I
nothing.
mean, that could have been a standalone outside of Christmas thing. Any connection to Christmas was pretty weak, which isn't necessarily a knock on it, but I'm just, to answer the question, I think that one could stand alone. But I think the main or the overarching sort of plot of William Shatner and Storm and Norman, whatever, that one I thought was pretty heavily, you got to be in Christmas. There's definitely
Yeah.
ways to twist that and change it. But I thought a lot of the charm of that one was Santa Claus wrecking people's shit and the showdown of Santa Claus and Krampus and whatever. Changelings, I think I don't know too much if there's like a lot of lore on changelings themselves, but I think that one could have probably been done outside of Christmas as well. Maybe not as strongly, but I think it could be. What was the other one? I'm missing one.
The family. Ho ho.
Oh yeah, the family. That one too could probably stand outside of Christmas as well. I mean, you could sub out Krampus for whatever demon and it would work.
I will say I was disappointed that the statue of Krampus falling and shattering was just a red herring.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as that happened, Aunt Etta, or whoever the fuck she is, was like, "You must get out right now!"
Mhm.
Like, you could have buried the lead a little bit there, but, like, yeah, it was a little bit strange. Overall, I liked the atmosphere. I think the atmosphere was probably the biggest strength of the movie, so I do want to give it that.
Ho ho. I do have one other point.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
So Dan, you mentioned the kids, or the story where the kids break into the high school.
Right.
Did you know the girl who died the previous year was actually DJ Dangerous Dan's granddaughter or niece or something?
I did catch that actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he has like a picture of the family or whatever, and he dedicates like a song or something to them.
Indeed. Indeed. Well, now, we've kind of talked about the movie a little bit. I want to know which of these Yuletide tales is your favorite. What was your favorite story of the four? Let's go ahead and say the four stories are DJ Dangerous Dan and Storm and Norman as one, the kids breaking into the high school for a second one, we've got the Changeling, and then last but not least, we've got the family that gets massacred by Krampus. Bearing that in mind, which of the stories is your favorite?
I feel like this is not really a cop out, but like the story of DJ Dangerous Dan and like Norman, just like the final scene where dude is just wrecking shit as Santa Claus was sublime. So that gets my vote.
Agreed. Again, like I mentioned before, I liked the twist, and I liked seeing Santa Claus fuck people up. The little elves reminded me a lot of Chucky, just sort of the way that they curse and irreverent and whatever, which I thought was a little weird, but overall, like that was my favorite.
Ho, Justin agrees, and so does Trini Claus.
Ho ho.
But
ho.
with the good must come the naughty. Are any of these stories on your naughty list? Was there one you didn't like?
I mean, the high school break-in seemed kind of irrelevant at the time. It wasn't like super out of place, but I mean, it was an enjoyable movie. I didn't hate any of the stories really.
I kind of agree there. I don't have strong feelings against any of them, but in my opinion, I think the weakest might be The Changeling. Like Nico mentioned, I think pacing was a little off, and there's some things I wish I would have seen more and some things a little less. I liked it. I just think maybe the execution could have been a little better.
Yeah.
Ho ho ho! Trini Claus took issue with the Changeling one for sure. Let me explain. Hollywood. Ho ho Hollywood.
Oh.
Every 3 fucking years has to redo this story about a child being taken by a fucking changeling. Seriously, it's even multicultural. They got movies about it from Korea and all over the place. It happens everywhere. The same goddamn story. I could have told you what happened without even knowing what happened.
True.
I could have told you.
Yeah.
It's a very generic plot.
Yeah.
I would have taken something else. Any other thing I would have taken. Also, Dan, to answer your previous question, I believe changelings originate in Irish and Celtic folklore, I believe, is the origin,
They're prominently featured there, yeah.
Okay.
or at least one of or the origins. I've read several tales.
They appear in multiple mythologies.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But now it's time for the hear those sleigh bells?
Ching, 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 ching.
It's time for the what would you do?
Oh, Lord.
So I'm going to have to put you guys in a scenario here.
Don't ever put me in a scenario.
No one puts Nico in a scenario. Let's say that the 3 of us were hanging out and we were there with a 4th person. Let's call him Bonner. We're in the woods looking for a Christmas tree. Bonner disappears, and all of a sudden he reappears. But the Bonner that comes back doesn't really talk. And he's mad weird. He just eats like mad food and doesn't associate with people.
This all sounds normal.
And then he like stabs your hand with a fork.
That part is not normal.
Then we get a phone call saying, "Hey, he's a changeling." What would you do?
Well, first I would ask him how he feels about Blu-ray encoding and hard drives, and then, that's the litmus test.
Honestly,
What if he just goes, "Grr"?
meh.
Well, then I'd be fooled.
I would take him back to the cherry blossom tree to have him
Oh, no.
stand under the cherry blossom tree and return him to that. I would do that. I think it would be pretty easy to convince me that Bonner or somebody else is a changeling after I saw things like that happen.
Ho ho ho. I would say this too. No one is too good to start acting demonic and get smacked the fuck up.
Yep.
So
Yep. You're right, Justin Santa.
Yeah.
Trini
that's an
Santa.
official DOTD
Trini
stance.
Claus.
If
Yup.
you start doing some kind of demonic shit, I might have to correct it.
Get
So,
slapped up.
so that being said, let us really talk about what we came here to talk about. So you've discovered now that he is in fact a changeling. How would you lure him back to the woods?
I just want to say I like that you threw a little bit of the Trini in there with the Santa. That
I'm
was
getting
nice.
so confused.
That was that was nice.
Listeners of the pod don't really know Bonner's personality too well, though I think over the last 2 minutes you may have realized some things. I would lure him with Blu-ray anime and a computer to upsample or whatever the fuck he does to them.
Okay, well let's maybe change it a little bit so we can get more familiar with the guests. Let's say it was one of us. So let's say, Dad, maybe you gotta pick Nico. How would you lure Nico into the woods? With what would you lure him?
One of two things. A comfy bed. Or B,
You know what I would do?
what would you do?
Tim Henson just dropped a new signature guitar. I feel like that could potentially lure
That
Nico
could
into
work.
the woods.
I was going to say some pupusas or some shit.
Well, that is true.
Yo, I would absolutely monish some pupusas.
See?
I'm very food motivated, everybody. Very food motivated.
Well, okay. So now it's time for you two, Dan and Nico. You must decide how you would lure Justin into the woods.
Breadfruit.
Oh, if I heard there was some out there, I might go.
Yeah.
Hot sauce.
Breadfruit, some doubles. Hot sauce that Justin swears is hot and that'll blow my fucking socks off, but is underwhelming every time.
Don't make me kill you.
Challenge accepted. And Rocket League.
There you go. Hot
Yeah.
sauce, Rocket League, doubles, and breadfruit. Okay, I see a trend. Now, it's time. Nico, how do we lure Dan into the woods? What do we use?
Bad bitches and champagne wishes.
That's true.
That could
That
work.
could definitely get him
That
out there.
could definitely work.
But also, you know what I think?
What you think?
Dan, they just dropped some brand new, industry standard microphones. They're just there. It's like kind of like a trade.
A brand new industry standard.
I don't know the specifics, like the Sony. There's the one Sony one that Dan always tells me, hey man, this was used on like the Score and all the classic hip hop records. It's there for the taking.
Hey, I would take a C800.
See, there you go. There you go. That's what I would think. But if not that, also Rocket League and or Bad Bitches.
Yeah.
Well, that was some Christmas cheer aside. But now, time for the critic review. What do you think this movie has on Rotten Tomatoes, those naughty, naughty bastards?
I'm gonna guess decently high because usually, like, I feel like compilation movies or anthology movies are like really hit or miss. So I'm gonna say like 70.
Ho ho ho. Darren, where are you at?
I was going to say 70, so I'll say a 68.
Well, Nico wins. Ho 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 ho.
Oh ho ho.
The movie has an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes from
wow.
the critics.
Higher than I thought.
Audiences
Wow,
did
wow,
not
wow.
enjoy the movie with a 46%. But now,
Okay.
holy shit, I'm sorry. When I clicked on this movie, there was a recommended. There's a movie called Showdown in Manila from 2016, also starring what looks to be no one from this movie, but it has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Why was this recommended? You like this? Here's another piece of shit you might get off on.
It's got Casper Van Dien from Starship Troopers. Trini Claus really likes that movie.
That's a good ass movie.
It is.
Well, anyways, it's time for our thoughts. And I'll go ahead and lead. It only feels right. I think Christmas is probably the holiday that's got the most horror movies associated with it. Of course, excepting Halloween.
Yeah.
And what can I really say? I think it's a relatively good time. Some of the pacing, have an issue with. But all in all, not enough to put it on my naughty list. I'm going to give it a 69. It was nice.
I shit you not, I'm also going to give it a 69, not for the bit. I mean, yes, for the bit, but also, like, this is the movie that you put on while you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with the rest of your day. Like, you get up in the morning and you, like, scrolling through some Netflix, you're talking with your boys, you're like, hey, yo, what are we about to do? What are we getting into? And then, like, someone just throws up, I don't know, let's just put this on while we think about it. And then, like, you unintentionally sit there for an hour just watching these hijinks and, again, unintentionally, I think, have a good time. It is not a piece of auteur grand cinema. It's just like it's a fun time. It's a fun time.
Indeed.
Well, I largely agree with both of you. I think it's enjoyable to watch. I don't think there's too much to really dig into, but I enjoyed it for the most part. I think I'm going to give it a 69.
Nice.
Ho ho ho! Christmas is the greatest holiday of all. Ho 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 ho! No,
Is this the first movie that we've had straight
I
69s?
think so.
probably.
I think so, yeah.
Probably.
Probably the only movie that will.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and put out our presents under the tree. Is this one going to get a recommendation from the podcast?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you should watch
I
it.
think so. Yeah.
I think so too. But no golden seal.
Nah.
No.
Okay then. So this one does get a recommendation from the podcast. And as a Christmas present to everyone, we know that this podcast is going to be coming out the Monday before Christmas. So let's go ahead and say, if you could pick one present, your dream present to get for Christmas, what would it be? None of that shit like world peace. We're talking about a real thing.
Real thing that money can buy.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna just, since we've already established it, I'm gonna just go with an irresponsible amount of pupusas.
Ho ho ho. Please send all your pupusas Nico's way.
Please do.
Fuck, I don't know, man. I guess money can't really buy this, but can I say, like, to not have to work a job?
I mean, I guess enough money could technically buy that.
Enough money, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, it's not really, that's kind of a cop-out, but I'll accept it.
All right.
Not like a PS5 or a OLED TV or
Yeah,
nothing.
a gift, you fucking lame.
I would take the PS6 that they're probably currently working on.
Ho ho ho.
Yeah, fucking right. How about you, Jess? Din Claus?
Well, Justin wishes his heart wasn't broken, but you can't fix that with money. So
Wow.
instead,
Wow.
Damn.
I've thought about this a lot. I think I really want one of them their new devices that allows you to write like you're writing on a notepad, but it translates it to like an electronic. What does PDF stand for? Does anyone know?
Printable digital format.
I would also accept personal digital format. But yeah, just one of those. Justin enjoys writing notes. And because he's a total hipster, he doesn't like writing it on computers. Instead, he'll write it all down in notebooks that he loses.
Same.
Yeah.
But yes. So, obviously, this was a Christmas episode, and we would just like to tell our listeners, thank you. Thank you so much from all of us for joining us for another holiday season. Of course, we'll have another episode coming out next week before New Year's. So we'll have some more to tell our listeners at that point in time. And even if you don't celebrate Christmas, enjoy the lights or the weather or enjoy something. Enjoy something. Anyone have any last words before we wrap this up?
Any ideas on what voice you're gonna do to complete our unholy trinity, Dan?
No, I've been thinking about that the whole episode, and I don't fucking know.
It's going to be good, whatever Dan chooses. But till then, you can find us on social media. We're on Twitter. Elon's on my naughty list. But we're on Twitter and Instagram at DOTD Horror. We're also on Facebook. That, of course, is Don't Open That Door. Ho ho! And you can check everything we've done on my website, which is our website. which is
www.trinityclaus.com.
Hold on.
if you go there, you might find a candy cane you weren't expecting. But
Hey, it's available.
but the
Not
real
for long.
website you should the real website you should go to is dotdhorror.com, where you can find all of our episodes and everything we've done. But till then, take care of one another. Keep some of that holiday spirit in your heart. And as always, dear listener, don't open that door. Ho ho ho. Bye.
What the fuck?
Nice.
Jesus Christ. Guys really sprung that one on me, huh?